and welcome to my channel. Today I have a very fun and exciting video, hence the no makeup and the mirror that's going to be sitting in the corner. I do apologize, but I do have to see myself. Today we're going to be doing the book and makeup tag, I think is what it's called. Very simple. This is an older tag that floated around quite some time ago, and a couple fellow booktubers, we all kind of decided that it'd be fun to do this collab, so welcome to the collab. This was put together by Meredith over at Reading with Merb. So we're just gonna talk about some books, do some makeup. You guys will see my basically generic everyday makeup routine, plus a few products just because, you know, the questions. I'm also sitting in like complete silence while I do this, which is so weird for me because I always like have something playing when I do my makeup, so my routine's a little shot, but yeah, let's just get right into it, shall we? So, question number one is primer, a book that has left a lasting impression on you. And I'm starting off with like a really hard question. I don't wear primer to begin with, but I do have two that I pulled just because I have, by the way, I used to be a makeup guru kind of gal. I was never on, like, I didn't film videos for it, but I was definitely a watcher and major consumer because I like to spend money and collect things, and makeup was that thing for a while. So I have like a ridiculous makeup collection. This is what I generally use every day. So, by the way, but I will be using the Urban Decay Optical Illusion Complexion Primer. I've not used this in quite some time, but I remember loving it when I used to. I've discussed this with friends before, but I actually have a really good memory with the books that I read. I just remember a lot that I read, but the ones that really stick with me and leave lasting impressions can vary for so many reasons. Often the reasons are I read it with friends. So books that I read with other people, I'm going to remember better. That's just that on that. But also books that I just love and adore. And it's also much harder to, like, once you start reading a lot, you're like, oh, I've forgotten 5 million books that I've read. And I often can only think of like the 3 books that I've more recently read. So, books that have left a lasting impression on me. Fourth Wing, that was a bit of a phenomenon. Everybody was kind of obsessed and going through it, and I think we're still like on that tail end of the hype, but that was definitely an experience that really stuck with me. To this day, when I see like spoiler stuff, I want to sob and I get really emotional again. That one just like had a big impact because I really enjoyed the experience. I read it with Eliza, like it was just like a really fun time. But for more like that emotional impact, the Traveling Cat Chronicles, that is like the first book to make me just absolutely sob like a little baby. I have never cried harder in my life over a book, at least. So things like that, but also like Heartstopper has like a major impact on my life, and it's comfort to me, especially with the show coming out. There's like an even deeper connection to it than any book that I just generally consider a favorite. Just kind of has like an impression on me, but it's hard because like the story can have an impression on me, the people I read it with can leave the impression, the actual experience of reading it, like I love remembering my reading experience. Like I can tell you most of the time exactly what was going on in my life and how I was reading a book. Like that's who I am. So that's a hard question, okay? That's a really hard question to start with because there's just so many books that just stick with me and that I remember. But yeah, those I would say like are the ones that at least this year have really been important to me. So next is going to be the foundation question. I use the Pure 4-in-1 Love Your Selfie foundation. I, again, love Robert Beauty Christie. She was one of those like OG beauty gurus. She's still on YouTube. But she did a collab, I'll show you that later, and she swore by this foundation, and so I picked it up and I have sworn by this foundation ever since. I think I've been using the same one for like 3 years now. It's incredible. So the question to go along with this is, Pick your favorite first book in a series. Ooh, okay. I mean, right off the bat, the first one that obviously comes to my mind is Caraval. I know that that's a love-hate relationship for people. People either love that book or hate that book, which I think, you know, valid, fair. That's cool. That was the book that sort of reignited that passion and love of reading for me. So it has a special place in my heart. I also just love that setting. I've got a whole dedicated shelf because of that book. Like, that book just, it means so much to me. But I also have not completed the series, so I don't know, man. It's very hard for me to, like, narrow it down, because it's like, either I've read the first book in a series and I have not completed the series, or I read the first book in the series but it's not my favorite of the series, you know? Alright, so final answer for foundation, I would say Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Nang. I really enjoyed that book. I've completed the series now, and I loved the first book. I thought the second book was okay, and I really enjoyed the third one, but the first one was still my favorite. It just had the most hard-hitting conversations. I really loved getting to know the characters and just like being in that setting a bit more, but it kind of went downhill before it went back uphill for me. So definitely Girls of Paper and Fire. That's such a good book series. Definitely check trigger warnings. It is heavy. So the next question is concealer. Again, I still use my foundation as my concealer. I don't wear concealer as much anymore, but I can add a little tiny bit more. And the question is, pick a character you wish you could get rid of. Ooh. I'm gonna be honest, like, the first person that came to my mind was Dane from Fourth Wing, which everybody completely agrees and relates to, which is so unfortunate because I would have been okay with not a love triangle per se, but I would have been okay with him getting like a fair chance. Like, he just, he does it so bad for himself so quickly that it wasn't even like fun to hate him. It was just like, you are the worst type of trash. So obviously Dane. Easy answer though. Other characters that I wish I could get rid of. See, one of my issues with this question is, like, selfishly, yes, like, I could get rid of, say, Dane, but I know he's gonna be important to the plot, and that's the issue with, like, getting rid of a character is most of the time they're there for a reason, and so you want them to be there even though you don't like them. They're good for the plot. And so it's one of those things that, like, out of characters that I read, I can see their purpose. Like, I am more than certain in Bow Before the Elf Queen, I would like to get rid of half those people. Because those people, stinky. But they're also, like, important for the plot and, like, need their moment. And I'm a firm believer that you should be only writing important characters. So, I don't know. I don't have a good answer. I would say Dane, but I know he's going to be important, so I know it's going to be, like, worth it. But at the same time, he wasn't written well, so it didn't feel like he was necessary as he could have been, you know? I don't know if I'm making sense right now. Alright, next is powder. Pick your favorite last book in a series. I don't wear powder. I have pretty dry skin, and so I avoid powders for the most part. It just doesn't work for me anymore. I definitely used to be that girl in high school that had, like, the foundation that would oxidize real bad, and you, like, had, like, the nice orange line on your jaw, but also, like, really white powder, so if there was flash photography, you were, like, super white casted. I definitely was that girl for a while. So I have two answers for this. The first one being Fable and Namesake. I really loved and adored them both, but I definitely think that Namesake was just, like, a little bit better. But my, like, real answer would be Jade Legacy in the Greenbone Saga. This is the third book, obviously the last. I did a whole many month reading series with my friends for Daphne's book club at Being Daphne, her Being book club, and it was a lot of fun reading it with them. But for me personally, the books got better as they went on. I really was not a fan of Jade City, but I actually ended up really enjoying Jade Legacy, and it actually had a better impact on me, and I cared a lot for the characters, and I actually felt like emotions. So they definitely got better for me. I thought that Fonda Lee ended that series beautifully, and it was incredibly well done, and I had like a really good reading experience with my friends as well. So just like overall, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. I just now realized that I've not explained what any of these books are about, so that's my bad. Jade City Jade City is an urban fantasy revolving around the Mountain Peak clan, I think. My friends are gonna come for me if I give these facts wrong. And we're following Hilo, Lan, and their sister, Shay. And they basically, it's just like them coming into power in their clan and going to do a lot of political moves to benefit their agenda against the Mountain Clan. They're the No Peak Clan. They're the enemies, the Mountain Clan. I got you. But yeah, basically that's the book. The third book I thought was really well done because it's Jade Legacy, and you're following the legacy of this family, so you're seeing their kids and just like the progression of the politics and everything, and I just thought it was really well done. Definitely some like time jumpy issues that I didn't love, but pretty good. Okay, next is going to be Contour. What book surprised you and with how much depth it had? I don't read deep books, I just read for funsies. I'm also not intelligent. So, rapid fire, just looking at the list. Perks of Being a Wallflower, and No One Is Watching. That's a thriller that I didn't expect to be deep, I guess. I don't know. What are we defining as deep? Because, like, technically, I just read Mr. Magic, and this is deep. It's, I want to say it's classified as horror. It's not scary. But it's definitely like eerie, and I really enjoyed this. But like that talks about religious trauma and culty vibes in religion. I don't know. I don't read deep stuff, but I do use Iconic London's Ultimate Bronzing Powder in deep bronze. Is this my color? No. Are we gonna comment on it? No. Thank you. But yeah, I would say like out of the books that I read, the ones that get deep are going to be literary, like A Man Called Uva, where it's talking about old age and found family. That like gets deep. And if not literary fiction, it's often going to be horror. I feel like horror does a great job at commentating social issues and just like the world around us and what's going on, even in more niche atmospheres or just like very generic settings that we're all very aware of. That's where I would say I would find the most deepness, most depth in a book. But again, like that's just not what I read for. I really read for fun and escapism and just like not dealing with my own bullshit. So it's hard to say like, oh, what books do I read that make me sit there and critically think and analyze stuff. It's like, I might do that for like a minute, but it's not really what I do when I read. Okay, the next one is blush, which again, I don't typically wear a whole lot of, but I guess today I'll use Tarte. I have two that I prefer. So this is Tarte in the shade Feisty. This is their Amazonian 12-hour clay blush, and this is Autobomb Girl Power by The Bomb. Question is, pick a book that had some cringe-worthy romance. Oh my gosh. Almost every book, every book that I pick up is gonna have some cringe romance, and I fucking love it. So basically what we're learning is I'm still obsessed with Fourth Wing, and some things just never change. That one definitely has cringe-worthy romance. Oh my god. But I think that's part of why I loved it. It's so fun. That's one of my favorite things about fantasy, young adult, doesn't matter, fantasy romance. It's just like so cringe and so good, and I just think it's adorable. Like, any Kindle Unlimited book that I read will generally have some like cringy romance. Shrek smut, Choosing Theo, like, they're fun, but you still are like cringing, especially for me. Black Sunshine, The Never King, all of those Kindle Unlimited romance books. I just cringe at romance. I'm definitely like a sweet romance kind of girl. I really like those like tender domestic moments in books and just like in romance in general, but I'm also only gonna want to pick up and read the darker side of romance, so it's very contradictory and I don't know how to help with that, but that is the truth. I'll read dark romance, but it will make me cringe, but like the sweet domestic romance is really what I love. Okay, so next is highlighter. This is the Charlotte Tilbury, oh, I don't remember what it's called, Hollywood filter, I think? I don't know. It's this very expensive, probably the most expensive makeup I have besides like eyeshadow palettes. I've rubbed off like the label and everything, but this is just a liquid highlighter, and I kid you not, I've had it forever, and I will probably have it forever, and it is my favorite highlighter in the universe. It's very much like that natural glowy dew that you might want. I know that like natural looking makeup is definitely more in, and this will absolutely achieve that, but it's also like you're gonna glow from the heavens, and it's incredible, and it's very easy to blend, and it looks very nice, and it is my favorite. Okay, question is, pick a book that brightened your day. I don't read a lot of happy books. Easy but recent answer, Red, White, and Royal Blue. Oh my gosh, that one had me just cheesing the whole time. I was so like happy and ecstatic to be reading it. I was just like, oh, they're so cute, and it just like warms my heart. I love them. Red, White, and Royal Blue, written by Casey McQuiston, recently turned into an Amazon production movie. It's good, but yeah, that one just like really brightened my day because it is a gay relationship having just joy and happiness, and sometimes it's just really it's really good to read books that not only like have themes of discovering your identity even in your late teens, early 20s and beyond, but having like those tender moments of like discovering yourself and loving yourself, but also finding your people and having just happiness and happy endings and just joy and not constant trauma is just beautiful and joyous, and it makes me so happy, and it just makes me feel better in life overall. Like, I just get to see people be happy, and sometimes that's just really needed, and I think that Casey McQuiston does like a pretty good job at giving you some hard-hitting conversations and topics while still giving you this light and happy atmosphere and making you root for them and just like just happy, man. You're just happy. Okay, next is Eyebrows, a book you think everyone should read. For this, I'm using the Morphe eyebrow palette. I don't know if they still even sell this, but I just dip into a bunch of colors and put on eyebrows. There's a lot of options here, you know? As like a person who reviews books often, it's really funny when people are like, recommend a book. I'm like, oh, no. I hate recommending books because I don't want to give somebody a bad reading experience. It makes me feel bad, and I want people to enjoy reading, and I feel bad if they're like, Sam said to read this, but I don't like it, and now I'm scared to hurt her feelings, or whatever. Like, I don't like putting people in that position because it makes me feel bad. But I think everybody should read my favorite books because obviously I've got superior taste and like I know what makes a good book. So just like anything on my favorites list, you should read it. If I tell you it's bad and I want you to read it, you should read it. That's just, you know, the general gist of me. But seriously, I think if you're new to a genre, I have like safer options to recommend people. Sort of like with fantasy, I will recommend something like Fourth Wing or ACOTAR or Caraval, because those are widely loved books. Even if they have issues and fair criticisms, they're something that people can just get into and enjoy. Thriller and horror, I'm always going to recommend like Grady Hendrix, Riley Sager, Ruth Ware, like the very like popular authors in those genres. Like, they're popular for a reason, typically because they're easy to jump into at any stage, and I think that's great for people getting into reading. But people who have been reading for some time, I'm going to want them to read something maybe a little bit heavier or a little bit more dense or just more fantastical, something like The City of Brass, because although that is an easier read, it's definitely higher fantasy, and I don't think anyone can just pick that up and easily fall into the world and enjoy it, but I freaking loved it. Of course, I selfishly would want people to read books that I just like really love and adore. I always try to get people to read House of Salt and Sorrow or The Death of Jane Lawrence. Those are two of my like absolute favorite horror-y books. They're not quite horror, but they're horror. Definitely like always want to get people to read those. Now I'm going in with the Benefit 24 Brow Setter. But yeah, like selfishly I want people to read books that I love, because I just love talking to people about books, and so getting them to read things that I love and enjoy is just always fun. But it is from a very selfish point of view, so it's hard to say, but like books that I would recommend to people to read often, surprisingly, is going to be like literary books that I'm just like, this is good, you should read it. Like A Man Called Uva, The Traveling Cat Chronicles, The Cat Who Saved Books, Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I guess that's more magical realism, but those kinds of books I'm always just like shoving it down people's throats. I remember, was it last year? I forced so many people to read Before the Coffee Gets Cold, and luckily they all enjoyed it. So that is a bonus point for me. But that is one series that I have pushed to not only people on Bookstagram and BookTube, but like my real life. My stepsister is currently reading it. I made my mom binge the series. Like, we're both so excited for the new one to come out in November. Like, that is like the series that I try to get everybody to read. Okay, next is eyeshadow. Pick a book that has your favorite colors on the cover. Okay, so for this, I'm going to be pulling out my Raw Beauty Christie X Pure eyeshadow palette. There's two sides. There's a colorful side and then a more neutral side. I think I'm just going to go neutral because I'm not trying to like get all crazy with my eyeshadow today. I do apologize. I'm trying to not like repeat my answers the whole time, but I really am a simple creature. My favorite color is very like light tealy blue cyan colors, but typically like if you're on like a color wheel and you're looking at like the sky blues to like almost seafoam colors, it's gonna be like almost white but like just a little bit down and like in that area. I would say like the best match to that color that comes to my mind right now is The Plot by Jean something Curve, I think. I don't remember. But that is a book that I really loved and enjoyed, and I love the color. I like the cover in general, but I really like the color as well. Because it is a book on like the blue background, which I love that color of blue. And this is a fun thriller mystery, I suppose, about an author who steals the work of somebody who has passed away and then, you know, profits off it and makes a whole lot of money and finds himself in quite the sticky situation trying to hide this secret. Very kind of similar to Yellowface by R.F. Kuang, but I'm gonna say it was better. And I'm sorry if you don't like that, but I did prefer it over Yellowface. I thought Yellowface was good. It was fine, but I definitely preferred. But other covers that have the same color in it that I just enjoy, Has some cerulean C is an option. The Traveling Cat Chronicles. Oh my Lanta. Girl the Sea Gave Back. Six Crimson Cranes has a very pretty color palette. Yeah, just like those kinds of blues I really like. The pastel blues, sky blues, or seafoam of the like. Earth Eater, that's a nice blue. Okay, eyeliner. Pick a dark and mysterious read. Okay, so I'm gonna go in my absolute favorite eyeliner ever, which sucks because I got it in an Ipsy and they don't just like normally sell it. It is on Amazon, but like don't go and buy it because if they run out, I'll cry. This is the Lauren Conrad just black felt tip eyeliner. It is my favorite and it is expensive for an eyeliner. Oh my god, but it's so good. I promise you. Okay, dark and mysterious books. I read dark romance. So the Never King series, I'm gonna have to get real close and personal to my mirror, sorry. But I would have to say like the Never King series by Nikki Crow, I think is her name. It's a 4-book series and I really enjoyed it. It's Peter Pan, Wendy, reverse harem why choose retelling. I liked it. Definitely dark, I suppose. I've been reading Haunting Adeline. That's dark, but like mysterious. Any horror and thriller. Death of Jane Lawrence, dark and mysterious, not sexy but like kind of sexy. Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. Not a book I personally like really enjoyed and loved, but I know a lot of people do. But that's definitely dark and mysterious. Any dark academia applies. We're gonna call that good because if I keep messing with that, it's only gonna get worse. Frick. I feel like that sums up dark and mysterious. These questions are so vague that I just don't have proper answers. I want to say like young adult, dark and mysterious, kind of sexy, but not like too sexy because it's young adult. Lesson in Vengeance, that would qualify. There's so many options. Next is mascara. Pick a long book. I don't like long books. I truly try to avoid them the best that I can. I'm just not a long book reader. They don't appeal to me. Even though I love and adore being in a world, I don't necessarily want to be there for 800 pages because that's like a lot. But some of the biggest books that I have read would be Jade Legacy by Fonda Lee. That's a beast of a book. Funny enough, a lot of romance fantasies are pretty big. Like, I want to say The Serpent and the Wings of Night was pretty big. I'm currently reading House of Leaves, and that's a big old boy. And my friend wants to do a buddy read for It by Stephen King, and oh boy, is that a big book. That might be one of the biggest books. So that's my first coat of mascara. This is the CoverGirl Flourish by Lash Blast. But my personal all-time favorite is the CoverGirl Lash Blast Volume. I've used this same mascara for many years. Not this exact one. I rebuy it a lot. My mom actually has like a subscription to get it every few months and she'll give me her extras. I love this one. It is a favorite. I haven't really gotten into reading large books until this year. For the most part, I'd always stayed like well under 500 if I could, because, you know, I was not a good reader when I started and they were so intimidating, and I've definitely gotten better. Thank you, audiobooks. But I would say that those are probably my biggest. So Babel was 544. So The City of Brass was 560. 716 pages, Jade Legacy, is my to-date biggest read ever, which, you know, like, a great accomplishment, truly. Like, it feels good to say that I've read a book that large because I wouldn't have thought I would. Alright, and then I think we just have our final question, which is lipstick. Your favorite book kiss. Oh, that's tough. See, here's the thing, y'all. I just finished my first book, Mr. Magic, which is the first book I've read in like 2 weeks. My brain has been in another world and universe for 2 weeks, and I'm just coming out of like that land, that fantasy world. And so like my brain is like, ah yes, the Zavis kiss. That is the OTP, that is my favorite ship. But that's like not bookish. But that was like a great great first kiss scene, and I really appreciated that. I'm trying so hard to think of other books that aren't Fourth Wing, because Fourth Wing is one of those books just like had me squealing the whole time for the romance. Okay, I'm going in with the NYX Professional Makeup lip liner crown. I like lip liners and matte lipsticks, lip creams I should say, over like proper lipsticks. I don't do those, and I don't really wear gloss. I guess maybe Bow Before the Elf Queen. Their romance is one of my favorites. It's fated mates, but I'm fated to you, but I don't have to be with you. You have to still earn my love and trust and whatnot. Like, I do really like that. So that's like a romance that I liked, and so when they finally were romantic, I was like, yes! One Last Stop has a cute, like, romance kind of kiss. Like, their first kiss is, like, very sweet. It's a romance, so, like, you know it's coming, it's expected, but, like, I did really enjoy that. Yeah, see, here's the thing, like, I don't read a lot of romance, and so, like, the ones that, like, really stick out to me are, like, fantasy romance, which still, like, you know it's coming, so, like, Fourth Wing, you know it's coming, but it still has you squealing. The Serpent and the Wings of Night, I really liked their first kiss, like, their romance really was like, ooh! Bow Before the Elf Queen, I really liked them. I don't know, man. D&D has ruined my life. I'm just thinking about how good that sweet, sweet enemies to lover in Dungeons, Dice, and Everything Nice happens. And so, I'm so sorry. Oh, what a lame ending. I'm so sorry. I don't feel like this video went as according to plan. That's the makeup tutorial, I suppose. There's some books that are constantly on my noggin. They're genuinely all like, maybe not like all of them are favorites, but I would say like most of those books that I've mentioned in this video are favorites. So I think I need to read more books. I need to like expand and then maybe have like a cheat sheet. So I have an ultimate book log, and maybe like in my ultimate book log I need to start being like, here's the 3 key things that I liked or like need to remember about this like first kiss, or did I cry, did it make me happy. Like I need to just like start remembering those things. Like I can tell you the plot, I can tell you most of the names in some books, I can tell you where I was reading it, what was going on in my life around that time of reading it, but I can't tell you how I felt. There's just like the emotions, once they're experienced, they are gone. So maybe I need to start tracking that, because then questions like these come up and I'm like, I don't know what makes me happy. There's only 2 books that make me sad. Yeah, maybe I need to start doing that, because that might help a little bit in the future for more fun tags, because trust me, tags are to be coming. But thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you, Meredith, for inviting me to do this collab with everybody. I don't know if we're premiering these or if they're just going to be in a playlist, but whatever the case is, I will leave that down in the description so you guys can check them out and see who else is involved and watch all of the amazing people that are participating and see what they do to their face and what books they think of, because I guarantee you they're all going to be very different from what I had to say, and probably 5 times better. I'm great at the whole like makeup department, not to toot my own horn, I am good at makeup, but maybe I need to be better at like the book side of things for my booktube channel. That makes sense. Well, thank you for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed. Leave this video a like if you did. Subscribe below if you want to see more from me. I post 3 times a week, and I'll see you in the next one very soon. Goodbye!